I have attained the enviable gift of immortality, but what use is it? This is the late stage of a matriarchal primitive society. Am I meant to live all the way to modern times? Accepting reality, I married several primitive women and had a few children with them. Today, it is once again time for a heartbreaking farewell with my son. An elderly man, frail and on the brink of death, lies on a pile of grass. With a face full of sorrow and grief, I say, "Father is useless, I couldn't provide you with a good life. Don't worry, I've already chosen a blessed resting place. In 10 to 20,000 years, I'll dig you up and build a museum for you so your family can be displayed together in a grand tour around the world." As I keep murmuring, the old man's cheeks twitch, his complexion is terrible, and he seems to be gasping for breath. I quickly shout, "Good son, don't be afraid, hurry and go. The world is interesting, only I won't die." My son trembles, trying to say something. I frown, "Son, stop struggling, just die quickly, or else when night falls, no one will come to collect you." The old man uses his last bit of strength to curse me in a dialect I can't understand. I slap my forehead, "Damn it, I forgot you can't understand Mandarin. Son, don't breathe your last yet, let me say it again." The old man's neck tilts, and he falls silently onto the grass pile. I let out a heavy sigh of relief. Now that my son is dead, his position as clan leader should rightfully come to me. It's not that I lack compassion, it's just that in a primitive society, death is in abundance. It's precisely because my son was the clan leader that I had the chance to mourn here. This is a terrifying world where both beasts and humans are enormous. Just take tigers, 2 meters tall is considered average, and one could easily devour both of us. The average man here is 2 meters tall. While I'm like a mere reed, even a 10-year-old child could lift me. 2 strong men rush into the grass hut and effortlessly lift me up. I'm stunned and say in the tribal language, "Are you tying up my father? Why are you tying me up?" My grandson walks into the hut, grinning, and says, "Grandfather, a few days ago, our tribe accidentally killed a man from the Coming Day tribe. They said we have to send a man over. Grandfather, you know, our tribe just moved here, we can't fight the Coming Day tribe. You've been with us too long, it's time for you to die. If you can survive over there, that would be a good thing. Take him away." I panic, "Grandson, I'm your grandfather. If you send me to another matriarchal tribe, it'll be drained dry." I struggle desperately, but it's of no use. Soon, both sides reach an agreement. When I open my eyes again, I find myself in the Coming Day tribe. By the fire, a group of unfamiliar women point and whisper at me, resembling the aunties at a market. If only the people in this world looked a bit more normal, I wouldn't mind so much, but standing in front of those women, I feel like an undeveloped child. Just as the crowd murmurs, a little girl squeezes through and approaches me. She looks me over and then beams a bright smile, speaking in the slightly arrogant dialect of the White Mountain tribe. "They're saying you're thin and small." I twitch my mouth. "Your whole family is thin and small. But how to escape is a big problem." While I ponder, 2 men emerge from the grass hut, chattering away. Then, the little girl, Neshi, happily comes back to me. "This is the clan leader's man, Kamu, he's here to take you to see my mother." The rugged man named Kamu grabs my chin and starts babbling something. Naishi explains, "Kamu says you can't run away, otherwise he'll catch you and eat you." I confidently laugh and say, no way, I definitely won't run." Soon, I'm taken to a grass hut at the end of the tribe, tightly bound. Inside the hut, I see Naizai's mother, which eases my anxious heart a little. A 50-year-old woman, sick and lying on a pile of grass, looks like she's nearing the end. And Naishi, "Can you help me untie the rope first?" Naishi shook her head and laughed. "Kamu said he has to keep you tied up, or else you'll run away." She pointed to a half-grown boy beside her. "This is my younger brother." Naida doesn't understand the language of the Baishan tribe. He glared at me fiercely with a sharp bone in his hand. I sighed inwardly. Primitive people really are clever. In fact, from the very beginning, your mother like this, she definitely can't give birth. What if your mother dies then? Wouldn't that be more troublesome? Don't worry, I won't run away. They held stone weapons, wary of wild beasts. When we reached the edge of the forest, a group of people began to look for fruits, and I was untied from the vines. But everyone still remained cautious of me. I had no intention of running away, but I also didn't plan to look for fruits. At that moment, Naida, with his youthful bravado, lunged forward and grabbed the bull's horn, climbing onto its head. This kid is too bold. I watched with wide eyes, thinking that if he was well trained, he could inherit the position of chief 100 years later. At that moment, the bull became even more frantic, jumping and shaking its head. "No, I have to save this precious son." I walked towards another barn and indeed found a cow that was also acting strangely, untied the rope, and let it outside. As I brought the cow over, the expressions of the crowd changed dramatically. The 2 bulls together would definitely fight. Oh my, the barn is doomed. Just as everyone was in a panic, the bull kicked Naida off and charged wildly towards me and the cow, then mounted the cow and began to mate. The crowd was stunned. Seizing the opportunity, I quietly slipped away. After 2 minutes of labor, the bull stood still and let out a triumphant bellow. At that moment, Naishi walked up to me, her face full of excitement. Little dad, how did you know the bull wanted to mate? Because it's spring now. What is spring? Naishi looked confused. Spring is when the cold is over, everything starts to grow, and animals begin to have their young. You saw how the bull was just now, right? Isn't it calmer now? Naishi suddenly understood, so that's how it is. No wonder mother said she wanted to have children. Spring. Then she excitedly grabbed my hand. Little dad, you should hurry back and have children with mother too. At that moment, Naishi, who was hastily pulling me to have children with his mother, suddenly realized that what I said about spring was the key point. Little dad, wait here for me, I need to tell the chief. Before long, Naishi ran back, excitedly shouting, little dad, the chief wants to give you an extra piece of meat, hurry. Naishi pulled me to the small square in the center of the tribe, and the chief really did give me a large piece of meat, chatting with Naishi in a low voice. After a while, Naishi turned to me and said, the chief said you saved Naida and the others just now, and that what you said about spring is very important, so this piece of meat is for you. The chief also wants to know how you knew about spring? I had already thought of a response. Tell the chief that our Baishan tribe has migrated a lot and has seen many tribes, and we learned this from communicating with other tribes. The people of the future tribe admired clever individuals, not just brute strength. Soon, Naishi was smiling excitedly. Little dad, the chief said that although you are thin and small, you have a good mind. The chief also said that as long as you help our tribe think of more things every day, he will give you an extra piece of meat every day. The chief is quite open-minded, knowing the importance of knowledge. In an instant, I felt more confident about my future. At that moment, Naida's shouting suddenly came. Nai's smile froze, her face turned pale as she ran out of the crowd with the meat. I was overjoyed. Double happiness was coming, and another wife was about to die. Of course, on the surface, I still had to pretend to be very sad, especially since Naishi and Naida were crying uncontrollably. What I didn't expect was that before Nai's mother had completely cooled down, the chief said something to Naishi. Then, with tears in her eyes, Naishi looked at me and said, the chief said you don't have to be my little dad anymore, you need to go have children with the chief. What the hell? The chief is a towering figure. Sending me over there is like asking me to die. I was so scared that I kept shaking my head. A hint of difference crossed Nai's eyes, but she still told the chief. The chief looked me over with a hint of dissatisfaction and then said something to Naishi. Naishi replied, the chief said you don't have to go, but you need to hunt to support me and Naida, because we are still children. If you go, the chief will take care of us. I was heartbroken. Couldn't there be another choice? With my stick-like body going hunting, wouldn't that be a death sentence? But just thinking about how I couldn't even reach the chief if I jumped made me resolute. I'll take care of you. Tell the chief that I might not be able to hunt, but I can pick fruits. I promise I won't let you two starve. Naishi was quite moved and stepped forward to hug me before telling the chief. The chief then left. In the middle of the night, I heard Naishi quietly crying, and I couldn't help but sigh. Humans are emotional creatures despite Naishi usually smiling. She must be very sensitive inside. Just the thought of not being able to lie flat anymore and having to work hard for these two children made me even more worried. I just wanted to blend into modern society. Why was it so difficult? Early the next morning, I took Naishi to dig sweet potatoes. Our Baishan tribe came from elsewhere. We used to eat this stuff, and it can be roasted with meat, which is even tastier. Little dad, you're amazing. This way, we won't be afraid of not having food. Seeing her smile again, I finally breathed a sigh of relief. I still like seeing Naishi smile. It was beautiful. Next, I began teaching everyone how to identify sweet potatoes. Digging the wrong ones could be deadly. Every new food could have been learned through bloody lessons before making it to the human table. In the evening, Naishi, a group of women, and I returned to the tribe, our arms full of sweet potatoes, chatting and laughing. When the hunting men saw the dirt on the women, they laughed. But when the chief confirmed that the sweet potatoes were indeed edible, the men couldn't laugh anymore. My status in the tribe rose because of the sweet potatoes, and the chief rewarded me with a large piece of meat, which thrilled me and made me feel that the future of the Lairi tribe was incredibly bright. However, the next morning, before I even got out of bed, Naishi suddenly rushed in. Little dad, wake up, someone has died. I hurriedly asked, who died? The chief's son. He ate sweet potatoes and then died. I was almost paralyzed with fear. Naishi anxiously pulled me. Little dad, the leader wants you to come over, hurry. I was numb. That was the chief's son, and the chief might want to eat people. My heart was racing, and I couldn't understand how someone could die from eating sweet potatoes. I had eaten them for many years, and the people of the Baishan tribe had eaten them too. They couldn't be poisonous. Plus, everyone ate them yesterday. Could it be an allergy? What terrible luck! Entering the chief's house, I saw a boy about Naida's size lying on a pile of grass, indeed on the verge of death. An old woman from the tribe was checking the boy. The chief saw me and showed no anger, only sadness. I took a breath. I was genuinely afraid the chief would punch my head off. I walked over to the pile of grass, reached out to touch the boy's chest, and surprisingly felt a heartbeat, and it wasn't weak. But his face was purple, and there was a slight noise in his throat. Suddenly, I thought of something and quickly pulled the boy up, hugging him from behind and forcefully thrusting into his abdomen. The Heimlich maneuver. As I struggled with the child, the old woman pointed at me and shouted angrily. But at that moment, with a puff, the boy spat out a large mouthful of sweet potato and then started coughing. The old woman stood there in shock, while the chief cried out in excitement. The boy drank some water and his complexion gradually improved. He really came back to life. At that moment, the old woman grabbed Nishi and mumbled something. Little dad, Yappo asked you, why can he come back to life after he died? I explained, he didn't die, he choked on something. I pointed to my heart with a wry smile. When a person dies, there's no movement here. Yappo's eyes sparkled with excitement as she kept sizing me up, then said something to the clan leader. Nishi was even happier. Little dad, Yappo said you can become our tribe's subhuman. Subhuman probably meant doctor. My heart skipped a beat. This was indeed a good option. Nishi continued, the clan leader said if you become a subhuman with Yappo, you won't have to pick fruits or hunt anymore, you can have meat every day. With such a good deal, how could I refuse? Of course, I had to agree. I followed Yappo to her home and discovered that she had already begun to understand how to record things. To my shock, I found out that Yappo was actually researching a lot, including human anatomy and pharmacology. You have to know, we were still in a matriarchal society and bronze hadn't even appeared yet they had already started studying medicine. It's unbelievable. This made me increasingly suspect that the development direction of this world was different from that of humanity on Earth. Could it be that this world is a giant's world and only I am small? If that's the case, it would be tragic. Even if I lived for 10,000 years, I would still be a mere reed, of no use at all. For the next several days, my main task became learning the language of the coming day tribe. I spent about 5 days and finally managed to communicate with them simply. Those two can't survive. They can all survive. I was taken aback. Such a hasty judgment on life and death? Before I could think more, Yappo urged me to come help. I hurried over to assist Yappo and whispered, Yappo, they should still be saved. And then what? I suddenly jolted. Yes, what happens after saving them? This is a primitive society. We must ensure fresh labor, or it would be hard to sustain ourselves. I looked at the injured and couldn't help but ask, what injured you? The injured explained, a kind of cow we've never seen before, not very big, black, with only one horn on its head. My expression changed suddenly, and I quickly asked, are there many? Yes, a lot. 3 got separated, and we wanted to kill them, but they are very fierce. My heart sank as I listened. I had to go take a look. The unicorn cow, that's the name I gave to that beast. It was about the size of a modern black water buffalo, over a meter tall, the largest weighing 1 or 2,000 pounds. It had one horn like a unicorn, very similar to a rhinoceros. They lived in groups, usually hundreds or thousands together, and had a strong sense of revenge, with incredible speed and combat power. About 15 years ago, the beasts here were truly fierce. None that could survive in this world were good-natured. Now that the coming day tribe had provoked the unicorn cow herd, they were likely to be wiped out. As I ran toward the forest, I contemplated whether to flee. Just when I could mix in as a respected man in the coming day tribe, I was really reluctant to run away like this. I gritted my teeth and decided to go take a look first. I passed through the woods and finally saw the battlefield. A group of men and women were fighting against a dozen unicorn cows. I counted carefully, there were 12 unicorn cows and 4 of them were already injured. If we could kill them all, perhaps the unicorn cow herd wouldn't come back. Soon, I was shocked to discover that those burly men could even jump nearly 2 meters high. Quite exaggerated. They were already 2 meters tall. And then they jumped another 2 meters. A man named Camus was wielding a wooden stick, continuously attacking the unicorn cows. Thrust, chop, defend. He kept jumping and dodging. Every move was very crisp, really resembling someone skilled in martial arts. I was deeply shocked, fatally sensing that the future of this world might not lie in modern technology, but rather in the pursuit of immortality, or at least in martial arts. Otherwise, there would be no way to explain why the people here were so large and their sensitivity so exaggerated, completely defying science. Before I could think much more, I saw Camus successfully stab a unicorn cow. There was hope. I hurried over, shouting, make some noise. Make some noise. Hearing my shout, Nishi, who was on the outskirts, immediately turned around and, seeing me running over, called out, little dad, come back quickly. Otherwise, our tribe will be finished. After saying that, I rushed into the inner circle, surrounding the herd with the men. Brothers, we must kill them all. Otherwise, they will bring more herds back for revenge, and our tribe will be wiped out. In a state of battle, people's learning ability is at its peak. Seeing my fighting stance, others quickly followed suit, moving and letting out low growls of ha 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 while continuously making noise with wooden sticks. As a result, the herd began to panic and soon lost control. Some unicorn cows attempted to break through the encirclement, and in the chaos, the opportunity arose. A group from the Coming Day tribe immediately charged in, and suddenly, a mass of people and cows became a tangled mess. As the battle scene spiraled out of control, I shouted desperately again, trying to calm the crowd. Unfortunately, everyone was caught up in the melee and couldn't hear my cries. The scene became chaotic, the herd scattered, and the crowd began to pursue them in disarray. I couldn't help but smile bitterly. If only everyone could cooperate, we could minimize losses, but these people wouldn't listen. At this point, there was no time to worry about that. As long as we could kill all the cows, we had to accept whatever losses we incurred. Just as I was contemplating how to salvage the situation, I suddenly saw a unicorn cow break through the encirclement, desperately running towards the woods. That unicorn cow was running incredibly fast, and in an instant, it was out of sight. This is bad. That unicorn cow must be going back to report. I ran into the chaotic crowd and found the chief. The chief was directing the people, and I grabbed him, shouting, "Chief, something big has happened." The chief looked down at me, puzzled. "Day, what's wrong?" I anxiously explained. "Chief, quickly order everyone to retreat back to the tribe. A large group of unicorn cows will come to take revenge on us. We must prepare for defense." The chief was dismissive. "Isn't that better? Then we'll have more meat." "Chief, their numbers exceed everyone in our tribe." Sure enough, the chief realized the gravity of the situation. "Day, is that true?" "It's true. Unicorn cows have a strong sense of revenge. Just now, one cow ran away, and it will definitely bring more unicorn cows back for revenge. Hurry, let's go back to the tribe." The chief hesitated for a moment but then raised his voice to shout for the team to stop fighting. With the chief's command, the people in the tribe quickly began to retreat, though they didn't know why, each one smiling. I couldn't laugh. I felt a chill in my heart. Not being able to kill all the unicorn cows was definitely a major hidden danger. I just didn't know when the large herd would come back for revenge. "Day, will there really be a lot of cows coming back?" The chief still seemed half convinced. I nodded firmly. "Chief, there definitely will be, just maybe not so soon." "Chief, you leave 2 people here. As soon as they see the herd, they must run back to the tribe and tell us." The chief's expression grew serious. "Okay, but if there really are that many cows, what should we do? We have no place to hide now. Let's go back to the tribe. I'll think of something." Before long, we retreated back to the tribe. I sat in the chief's house, my expression grave. The chief didn't quite believe there would be a large herd, but he didn't dare take the risk. He was the chief and needed to consider the entire tribe. "Day, what should we do now?" The chief asked with a complex expression. "Today, our hunting team has already lost 2 people and several have been injured. If there are that many cows, we won't be able to withstand it, Chief. It's impossible for the cows to come running to the tribe, right?" A man said, puzzled. "What if they do?" The chief's expression turned sharp, and the others fell silent. If that were to happen, the tribe would be in serious trouble. During the day, "What do you think we should do now?" I took a deep breath. "I'm not sure if this will help, but we have no choice. Everyone who is hunting or foraging, as long as their injuries aren't too severe, should pick up weapons, preferably 2 sticks each. Let the children go to the barn. If we can't hold them off, let them ride the cows away from the tribe." "Alright, let's do as we discussed during the day." A group of burly men remained still. The chief's expression tightened. "I know you don't believe in what was said during the day, but I do. For the sake of the tribe, we must be cautious. Without the cows, everyone can eat plenty of meat, but if they come, we will become the prey for the beasts. Move quickly. We can make noise to fend them off." The chief's small man, Camus, chimed in. "Chief, what the brother said during the day is correct. When he had us bang sticks, those cows were indeed frightened." The chief frowned. "But how can the cow horns make noise?" I couldn't explain either. So I had Camus help me hollow out the cow horns with a bone dagger. Before long, we had made the first rudimentary cow horn. I tried to blow into it, but no sound came out, which was quite embarrassing. Camus, however, was curious. Seeing that I couldn't blow it, he took the cow horn and blew hard. Woo! The sudden shrill sound startled me. The chief and the others were also surprised and gathered around. "Camus, you can actually blow it? It's not hard, just blow hard, and it makes a sound." I was very excited and quickly made more cow horns. Soon, I had made 3 cow horns. I couldn't blow any of them, but the other strong men could, clearly indicating that blowing this required lung capacity. Now, everyone was completely convinced that a herd of cows would indeed retaliate. "Camus, blow the horn, blow hard, quickly," I shouted. Camus and the others immediately blew the horns, and everyone nervously gripped their weapons, swallowing hard regardless of gender. Finally, shadows appeared in the woods. The herd of cows. A dense mass of unicorn cows, at least 300, no, 500 of them. I really wanted to turn and run, but when I turned my head, I saw the anxious expressions of the chief and the others. Where could I run? Besides, the herd was already close, and once they passed through, the tribe would be flattened, leaving me with no escape. I had to fight. I crossed my arms with the sticks. Everyone, do as I do, bang the sticks, and then shout loudly. The crowd followed the guidance from the day, banging the sticks and letting out war cries. But as the herd drew closer, showing no signs of stopping, I began to panic. With so many cows, we definitely couldn't fight them off. Just then, the chief was the first to charge forward with a stick, shouting at the herd, "Kill!" At that moment, I finally understood why he could become the chief and why everyone obeyed him. With the chief charging ahead, the others followed suit, shouting, "Kill!" I stood at the back, watching the massive figures in front of me, feeling a stir in my heart. The history of humanity is a song of the brave. A group of people roaring in rhythm was clearly the most primitive battle cry, combined with the sound of sticks striking, creating a unique rhythm in this world. Soon, I noticed that the cows at the front were clearly veering off, seemingly hesitant to charge this way. I felt a surge of joy and shouted, louder, "It's working! It's working!" The herd actually began to deviate from their path, heading towards the side of the tribe. Incredible! So many cows are really scared off by us. And banging the sticks really works. I exhaled and said softly, "Chief, let's not be complacent. Arrange for a few people to continue patrolling near the tribe to see if the herd has truly left." The chief nodded in agreement. "You're right. During the day, Camu, go arrange it right away." The night was shrouded in darkness. And the tribe remained vigilant. Many torches were lit, and numerous bonfires were set around. Meanwhile, there were always patrols on watch. I walked around the tribe to confirm that there was no immediate danger before returning to rest. Lying on the pile of grass, I just couldn't fall asleep. To be honest, this was the most thrilling experience I've had since I crossed over to this primitive society 30 years ago. The 30 years in the Baishan tribe had been as bland as water. I heard Camu continue, "Brother, something big happened during the day. We found many cows dead and the sight was horrifying." "Are you saying our tribe's cattle died?" "No, it's the unicorn cattle just in the ravine behind the tribe." This was strange. How could the cattle die after crossing the tribe? After a moment of thought, I whispered, "Camu, it's too dangerous to go now. You should go back and rest well. Check it out in the morning." The next day, just as dawn broke, Camu came running over, pulling me to go see, accompanied by a few burly men. The group cautiously crossed the forest behind the tribe, and as I walked, I frowned tightly. "Camu, don't you find this very strange?" Camu replied, "It's too quiet. There are no birds singing. Everyone be careful. If anything seems off, run back immediately." The group continued forward, climbing over a mountain, and finally saw the valley that Camu mentioned. From a distance, I saw many black unicorn cattle lying in the valley. I was shocked. If so many cows were truly dead, that would be a big deal. As we got closer, my expression grew more serious. The cows had become extremely emaciated, as if their blood had been drained. Each cow had only one wound on its neck. The wound wasn't large, but it was already rotting and stinking. What could it be? What could kill so many cows so quickly, and how could the herd have just died? Yepa also came over, and I explained the situation. Yepa frowned, looked at the wounds on the cows' necks, and quietly asked, "Did they all die like this?" "Yes, the wounds are all the same, and they have already started to smell. But the scene is fresh. These cows were just killed." Yepa squatted in front of the dead cows and said quietly, "During the day, our tribe might have to leave. I can't tell what kind of beast it is, but I can be sure it's powerful and very close to the tribe. If we don't leave, we will eventually be eaten by this beast." I sighed. There was no other choice. The fear of the unknown is inherent in humans. Although we couldn't confirm it was a beast's doing, if it wasn't a beast, that would be even more terrifying. When the sun was high in the sky, I appeared again in the Valley of Dead Cows, bringing Naishi and Naida along. It was such a waste for so many dead cows to rot like this. Although we couldn't eat the beef, the hides and horns were useful. "Little dad, can I use a piece of cowhide to make clothes?" Naishi asked expectantly while cutting the cowhide. I glanced at him and smiled. "It'll help you make it. It will look better than what you can do." Naishi beamed with joy at my words. I casually replied, "It'll make you one too." Just as I was halfway through my sentence, I suddenly stopped because I noticed Naida was trembling. Naida held a bone dagger, slightly bowed his head, and kept shaking it back and forth, looking particularly frightening. Naishi also noticed his brother's abnormality and hurriedly asked, "Naida, what's wrong with you?" Naida didn't answer, just kept shaking his head. I frowned and walked over, pushing Naida slightly. "Naida, are you okay?" Naida finally lifted his head, and his eyes had turned blood red, with a creepy smile on his face. I was almost scared out of my wits, stepping back in shock and nearly falling over. What on earth was happening? My heart was in my throat. Naida suddenly lunged at me, knocking me down. I struggled to push Naida away. But Naida was incredibly strong, sitting on top of me, his hands viciously gripping my neck, trying to choke me to death. Yet, Naida maintained a pure, innocent smile on his face. In my panic, I stabbed Naida several times with a bone dagger, but he seemed completely unfazed, still grinning as he choked me. Naishi rushed over and pulled Naida away with all his might. "Naida, what are you doing?" After being pushed away, Nida suddenly turned and attacked Naishi. I was terrified and scrambled to my feet, looking left and right. I grabbed the cow horn that Nida had just removed and smashed it hard against the back of his head. He actually fainted. Naishi was saved, coughing in fright. I also breathed a sigh of relief. Thankfully, Nida had removed 2 cow horns, or I would have had to kill him. Nida was incredibly strong, far beyond what Naishi and I could handle. He was like a madman, terrifying. Nai's face turned pale. Little dad, Nida. Nida's eyes are red. I see it. Don't panic, let me take a look at him. With my left hand holding the bone dagger, I touched Nida's neck with my right hand. His body temperature was very high, and his pulse was extremely fast. Poisoned? Could it be that the dead cows were toxic? I flipped Nida over and pried open his eyes. His pupils were still blood red, truly horrifying. Soon, I noticed that the wound I had inflicted on Nida was oozing black blood, and the blood was emitting a faint white vapor. Little dad, how is Nida? Is he dead? Naishi asked anxiously. I whispered, don't worry, I won't let him die. As I spoke, I continued to focus on Nida's wound. It indeed seemed like he was poisoned. But what kind of poison was so extreme that it could make blood emit vapor? A flash of inspiration struck me, and I stabbed the bone dagger into Nida's wound again, increasing the flow of blood. If it was poisoning, there was no more effective treatment than bloodletting. At that moment, after the bloodletting, Nida's blood returned to normal. He groggily got up. Why did I fall asleep? I quickly asked, Nida, did you eat any of that rotten beef? Nida shook his head. No, little dad, you said we couldn't eat it, so I didn't. That was strange. How could he be poisoned? Even so, I still suspected that the dead cows were problematic, but I couldn't explain why Naishi and I were fine. After returning to the tribe, Nida showed no further abnormalities. Did you bring everything back? I shook my head. Chief, don't go. Those cows are already rotten, and the hides are useless. A group of people went and returned empty-handed. I hadn't forgotten what had happened with Nida. The chief quickly calmed down and sighed. During the day, we've been discussing whether to leave this place. Animals have become very scarce, and we can't hunt anymore. I had noticed this too in the past 2 days. Kumo and the others went hunting and barely encountered any birds. This phenomenon plunged the entire tribe into unease. Without prey, there would be no meat, and many would starve. Hunger is more terrifying than a beast attack. I knew a new crisis was looming. Moreover, I felt that Japo was right. A powerful beast had been watching the tribe, forcing nearby animals to flee. It was just that the herd of unicorn cows happened to pass by this tribe, alarming the people. The chief shook off his thoughts and said quietly, during the day, there's one more thing I need to tell you. Seeing the leader's serious expression, I couldn't help but ask, Chief, what is it? The chief took a deep breath before whispering, your tribe is gone. Gone? I gasped. Are they all dead? Not exactly. They should have left. When Kumo and the others went hunting, they only saw the tribe's houses, but no people, and everything was taken away. I breathed a sigh of relief, thinking they were all dead. The chief was quite surprised. During the day, don't you want to be with them? I was at a loss whether to laugh or cry. Chief, they've sent me here, so why should I still be with them? That's true. Yapa said, if we still can't catch any prey after 2 more dark nights, we should decisively eat the cattle in the tribe and then start to leave. During the day, your mind is clearer. Can you help me think about whether we should leave? I hesitated because migration was a major matter for the tribe, and once the tribe moved, anything that happened along the way would be beyond our control. Chief, tomorrow I will go hunting with Camus and the others to see the situation. Early the next morning, I left the tribe with the hunting team, bringing along a newly made cowhide drum. The forest was eerily quiet. The hunting team wandered in the woods for most of the day without encountering any prey. Not even new tracks. This puzzled me. Those animals couldn't have all left the forest. Something was very strange. I helplessly said, Camus, go back and tell the chief that we will follow Yapa's advice. We will start packing our things in the next couple of days and prepare to leave. Camus sighed with a hint of disappointment. I continued, you all go back first. I will look for those dead cows. Camus was startled. Brother, it's about to get dark. I forced a smile. If there really are fierce beasts after dark, that might be good news, right? This made Camus feel helpless again. The forest was empty. Where would the fierce beasts come from? You all go back. I will check on those dead cows, mainly to find out how they died. As the sun set, I appeared in the valley once more. There were no signs of other animals having fed on the cows, which meant that since these cows died, apart from me, no other creatures had come near. A couple of days ago, there were still some animals in the nearby woods. Yet none dared to eat these dead cows, not even the birds. Coupled with Nida's earlier madness, I suspected that these dead cows might contain some kind of energy, perhaps a highly corrosive force that frightened the animals. Crack! Suddenly, I heard the sound of trees breaking outside the valley. My heart trembled, and I quickly hid behind a dead cow, holding my breath. Something was approaching. There really were fierce beasts left in this forest. I felt a chill run down my spine, not knowing what kind of beast it was. If I were attacked, it would be the end. but soon the creature fell silent and the valley became eerily quiet again. Unable to contain myself, I cautiously peeked out from behind the dead cow. When I saw it, I nearly cried out. It was a tiger, but its fur was very sparse. I quickly jumped up and indeed saw the fierce beast less than 2 meters away from me. As I jumped, the beast was startled and stepped back. Then, man and beast locked eyes, and the air froze for a few seconds. After a moment, the beast began to bare its teeth, revealing sharp fangs. At the same time, "Little Dad, I know, with you here, it's home." This child had such a sweet tongue. I patted his head and returned to the tribe with him. The chief soon arrived, and I told Naishi about the situation. The chief planned to leave the next day. As for where to go, there was still debate. Some people thought we should head towards the setting sun, while others believed we should go towards the rising sun. "Brother, where do you think we should go?" Listening to the chief's inquiry, I pondered for a moment and softly said, "Follow the river." "Follow the river?" The chief seemed puzzled. I nodded firmly, "Yes, follow this small river in front of our tribe. If we keep going downstream, we will eventually encounter a larger river. There will definitely be other tribes along the river, and many prey will appear." The chief pondered for a moment and patted my shoulder. "I will go back and tell them." "Brother, you have a good mind, think of a way." I forced a smile. "What can I do? Unless you all can stop eating meat. Until now, I still can't understand why these tall and mighty primitive people. Just a little white fish, not even enough to get stuck in your teeth." "Wait." Suddenly, I thought of something. Fish meat is still meat. I stood by the riverbank for a while and indeed found fish in the river, and they weren't small either. I got excited and turned to Camus, saying, "I found meat." Camus looked at the water in confusion. "Yes, it's in the water." I nodded confidently. "There's something in the water called fish, which is also a kind of animal with meat. But how do we catch them? It's dangerous in there. I don't dare to go in." I understood Camus' concern and explained, "You don't necessarily have to go into the water, you can catch them from above." "Forget it. I can't explain it clearly to you right now, let me try first." So, while it was still light, I started using a stick as a spear, trying to spear the fish. There were indeed fish in the river, and some were quite large. I even saw a few that were about the size of my thigh swimming by. However, when I tried to spear the fish, I found that I couldn't catch even the small ones, let alone the big ones. Camus watched me splashing around at the riverbank for a long time, and when he realized I was trying to spear fish with a stick, his speed noticeably slowed down. Many people began to study how to catch fish. That day, I went into the forest with Camus and others to look for prey, and we finally encountered a group of sheep. Although we ultimately couldn't catch any, it still excited Camus and the others. After being out for so long, finally having prey was undoubtedly great news for the tribe. Of course, the appearance of animals meant we had to start guarding against fierce beasts. In the evening, I returned to the riverside tribe with Camus and the others. From a distance, I saw a group of people gathered by the river, thinking someone had fallen in and was drowning. I hurried over, shouting, "Lift it up quickly, it won't be able to escape." It sounded reasonable. Just then, "Oh, it's moving." As he spoke, the chief quickly swung a long stick, and to my astonishment, he actually speared a fish. Now the chief was excited, and the surrounding crowd became lively. This was truly a natural fisherman, hitting the mark with one throw. For a long time afterward, the chief became obsessed with fishing, even figuring out how to make ropes from cow tendons and hooks from bones. Besides fishing, we needed to change our hunting methods. On rainy days, prey was already scarce, and chasing them became even harder. Camus was stunned. "What should we do?" I sighed and explained. "We can dig pits and make traps. Dig a pit, then place sharpened wooden stakes inside, covering it with a layer of grass and branches. If prey falls in, they won't be able to get out. Also, we can make ropes from vines and tree bark, tying them to trees. If prey accidentally touches the rope, it will tighten and catch them." As I spoke, everyone was shocked. They had never thought that hunting could be done this way. So the next day, I joined the group to hunt, and Nashi went along to gather. Originally, I planned to dig a big pit for a trap, but as soon as I started, I realized it was too labor-intensive. I quickly killed the prey that got caught in the snare. At that moment, Nashi ran over quickly from a distance, pointing, "Little Dad, there are a lot of sheep over there." Camus and I sped over. Then, a group of people cautiously approached the flock of sheep that Nashi mentioned. When I saw that group of sheep on the hillside, I was shocked. They were bright red and very large. Each one as big as a normal water buffalo, plump and chubby. This made us incredibly happy. With so many big fat sheep, if we could catch a few, it would be enough for the tribe to get through tough times. Just like Nax's big red eyes. Before I could react, one of the red sheep suddenly charged towards the bushes. With a loud thud, I was knocked out of the bushes. Oh no, these red sheep are not to be trifled with. I quickly rolled away, using the momentum to strike the cowhide drum in my hands. The sound of the bullhorn echoed through the mountains and forests, yet the sheep in front of me did not flee. Instead, it lowered its head and charged at me again. I was terrified and ran for my life, shouting, "Run! These sheep have gone mad. Sure enough, all the sheep bravely charged towards the people lying in ambush around us, attacking them hidden. Behind me, a red sheep was still following, and it was incredibly fast, always aiming for my backside. One red sheep, and a few more were chasing after me. I was scared out of my wits. What kind of sheep were these? Why were their eyes red and they were so strong? I could hear the shouts of Kumo and the others behind me, clearly engaged in a fight with the flock. But with 5 red sheep on my tail, I panicked and took a random path into the dense woods. Kumo and the others were not faring much better at first. They did engage the sheep, but soon they realized the flock had a strong sense of revenge, with both impact and speed. Thus, in the forest, a group of people was being chased by a group of sheep. Thankfully, the horns on their heads were spiraled. If they were straight, many would have already been gored to death. I had lost track of how long I had been running or how many times I had been knocked over by the red sheep. The instinct to survive kept me from relaxing for even a moment. Just a while ago, a red sheep had crashed into a large tree, and the trunk, as thick as a head, was actually broken. If it had charged with all its might, I would surely have been crushed to pieces. When I reached a steep slope, I was once again knocked over by a red sheep, and then I rolled quickly down the steep hill. Fortunately, the slope was indeed steep, and the 5 red sheep did not follow directly. After rolling down the slope for quite a distance, I spat out a mouthful of blood and then got up to continue running. I don't know how long it had been, but after tripping over a branch, I could no longer get up. I weakly closed my eyes, filled with despair. After 30 years in this primitive society, it was the first time I felt so helpless. I turned my head to look inside the cave and found it quite spacious. Suddenly, my heart stopped again, and I felt numb. At the back of the cave lay a fierce beast, the same ugly beast I had seen before. I didn't dare to get up, just lay there quietly. My body ached, my arms and thighs must have been fractured. With such severe injuries, I didn't know if I would recover. Suddenly, that ugly beast opened its eyes. I was so scared that I quickly closed mine, pretending to remain unconscious. Soon, I felt a sharp pain in my neck, and I could clearly feel the blood flowing towards it. Obviously, the beast was drinking my blood. But after a long time, I didn't feel death approaching. My consciousness remained clear. Unable to hold back, I slowly opened my eyes and saw. Not long after, that ugly beast returned, holding a red snake in its mouth, standing in front of me. It bit down casually, and warm snake blood sprayed all over my face. At first, I wanted to resist, but soon I realized the snake blood was somewhat sweet, so I desperately gulped it down. This snake blood was really good. After drinking it, I immediately felt less pain in my body. At that moment, the beast placed the red snake on the ground and gently tore it apart with its claws, revealing the snake gall inside. Then, regardless of whether I wanted it or not, the beast stuffed the gall directly into my mouth. The gall burst in my mouth, and the sensation was truly exhilarating. But strangely, after the bitterness, I felt a wave of sweetness, and I even sensed a warm current flowing into my body. If I could possess magical powers, I could roam freely in this primitive society, no longer fearing death. With that thought, I quickly closed my eyes. My body was recovering. I estimated that in 2 or 3 days, I would be able to get up. This made me very excited, and I looked at the fierce beast still sleeping in the cave, feeling particularly grateful. I had thought I would be drained by this beast, but unexpectedly, it had saved me. Although this beast was ugly, it was a kind-hearted creature. Soon, I felt that my thoughts were a bit naive. The reason that beast saved me was not out of kindness, but to continuously suck my blood. I was being kept like a pet. The beast needed to draw my blood every so often, and after it was done, it would find all sorts of strange supplements to force into my mouth. Once I regained a bit of strength, it would start the blood-sucking all over again and again, and I never managed to recover. It was truly a situation where I couldn't even die if I wanted to. It was too miserable. For many days, I felt like a fat pig being raised. The good news was that my wounds were indeed healing slowly. The beast fed me all kinds of nourishing things, whether it was strange snakes or bizarre ferocious beasts, and occasionally some odd fruits. After eating, I always felt a warm sensation throughout my body. In just a few days, I felt my body had mostly recovered, but because I was constantly being drained of blood, I still lacked the strength to get up. But in any case, I wouldn't die for the time being. Since I couldn't struggle for now, I decided to find a way to accept my state of being raised. So I began to ponder whether the warm flow from the supplements the beast fed me could really be condensed into internal energy or true chi. I took a deep breath and tried my best to sink my energy into my dantian, attempting to achieve the effect of inhaling and exhaling. After several more days, I felt like I had gained some weight. That ugly beast really knew how to take care of someone. Not only was the nutrition balanced, but it also understood the importance of letting me move around occasionally. However, it was strange that after sucking my blood, the ugly beast was still very strong, and figuring out how to please it was quite a headache. Just as I was contemplating this, the beast returned, empty-handed, and I didn't see it carrying anything in its mouth. I was quite surprised. It was the first time I had seen the beast come back empty-handed. As the beast approached, I swallowed hard and forced a smile. Sister, let's have a good talk. I know you want to drink my blood, but we don't need to do this. They'll let you drink, but could you not make me suffer so much? Can you give me a little space to recover? Look, if you let me recover a bit more, my blood will definitely taste better, right? Don't worry, I won't run away. You help me, and I'll help you. Before I could say more, the beast suddenly jumped over and pinned me to the ground with its two front paws. My chest felt heavy under its weight, but I didn't dare to struggle, nervously saying, Sister, everything can be discussed. I also need your food. The beast suddenly lowered its head and sealed my mouth with its own. I was completely stunned. It was over. It was unclean. I had my first kiss stolen by a beast. Only then did I realize I needed to resist, but the beast pressed down on me with such force that I almost felt my ribs might break. I started to cry, realizing I was being assaulted by a female beasto. What a monster! No! It was a monster to begin with. But soon, I realized I was overthinking. The beast wasn't trying to kiss me, but was feeding me something. That thing quickly disappeared into my mouth, and then I instantly felt my body starting to heat up. After feeding me, the beast immediately jumped back, quickly retreating to the cave entrance, its gaze towards me becoming very strange, as if it was filled with, and it was wiping the drool from its mouth. Just as I was about to speak, I suddenly felt my body ignite with heat, burning like it was about to explode. Seeing the beast at the cave entrance poised to run at any moment, an ominous premonition surged in my heart. Hot! Every inch of my body felt like it was on fire. I could even see my skin turning red, like a roasted duck. The good news was that my body didn't turn any redder, and there were no other abnormalities. Strangely, the beast was no longer in the cave. I had no idea where it had gone. After a bout of crying, I looked around the cave, which was in disarray, and I was secretly astonished. Had I gone mad and fought with the beast, or had I just been attacking the rocks? I tried to attack the rocks again, but my fists were already battered and painful, and I didn't dare to exert any force. But when I woke up again, I found that my injuries had actually improved. My once shattered hands and feet had surprisingly healed. Unfortunately, before I could fully recover. I wondered if the others were okay, especially the girls like Nashi. It seemed unlikely they could escape unscathed. Just as I was thinking this, I saw a dark shadow appear in the distance. As I prepared to lie down and accept my fate, the fierce beast suddenly barked at me twice. Woof woof. I looked at the beast in confusion and noticed a hint of panic in its eyes. I was even more astonished what had happened. It was so powerful, yet it felt fear. The beast barked again, then stood at the edge of the cave, gazing at the dark sky in the distance. I joined it at the cave's edge, frowning as I looked up. Was a terrible disaster about to occur? Suddenly, the beast quietly backed away behind me, and while I was lost in thought, it suddenly charged at me from behind. I flew out of the cave and fell off the cliff. It was heart-wrenching. The air became even more oppressive. I furrowed my brow as I climbed down from the tree, cautiously starting to move forward. After a long distance, I could no longer hold back and began to run wildly in the rain. Civilization here was still quite similar to the Day tribe. The weapons they used were still bones and sticks. However, these people were clever. They knew how to use ropes to trip wild buffalo and then launch surprise attacks. Before long, two massive buffalo had completely collapsed and could not move. I watched in amazement. This tribe was surprisingly unaffected by the heavy rain. I observed from a distance for a long time before finally deciding to approach. At that moment, the crowd cutting the beef quickly noticed my arrival. Several tall men rushed over with weapons, quickly surrounding me. The leading man had a serious expression and muttered a few words. I pointed to the forest and mimicked the action of running out from the woods. After some murmuring among the group, they relaxed their guard. The leading man furrowed his brow, scrutinizing me while muttering something. Perhaps realizing I truly couldn't understand, he walked directly in front of me, and I felt like a chick being picked up as I was taken to the beef slaughtering site. The leading man handed me a large piece of beef and pointed into the distance, clearly indicating I should take the meat and leave. This tribe seemed to be quite hostile towards outsiders. Their gazes were sharp, even carrying a hint of murderous intent. I found a relatively safe spot in the forest, made a fire by friction, and built a simple grass shelter to roast the beef. Just as I was enjoying my meal, a series of howls echoed from afar. Unable to resist my curiosity, I climbed a tree to get a better view. At the previous slaughtering site, two groups of people were facing off. They appeared to be from two different tribes. It looked like a fight was about to break out. Were they going to fight over the prey? I saw a strong man step forward from each side, and then the two began to grapple in the middle. Wow, it was a unknown match, and they were going at it hand to hand. How exciting! I sat in the tree, watching the fight unfold with great interest. They didn't engage in direct combat but instead wrestled, vying for position before grappling. I noticed that both tribes were quite skilled in fighting. Their combat experience was rich, whether in striking or dodging. It was like they were training against each other. The fight continued until dusk, and then they began to disperse. I saw the provoking tribe leave, hesitated for a moment, extinguished the fire in the mountains, and followed after them. Soon, I was surprised to discover that the provoking tribe actually lived in a cave. From the earlier training, I felt that this tribe's civilization was not behind. Why did they still live in a cave? Before long, 2 women noticed my arrival. As before, I gestured to indicate that I had come from the mountains. To my surprise, the 2 women not only showed no hostility but quickly began to gesture. Are you the only one left? Was your tribe washed away? After a round of gestures, I was taken into a cave in the tribe. An old man with white hair leaned on a cane. He first sized me up, then picked up a stone and began to draw on the wall. I was startled. This was already a form of written communication. Although the old man's drawings were quite rudimentary, I could roughly understand the meaning. Where do you come from? I also picked up a stone and drew simple pictographs. The water washed away the tribe. 1 person got lost. The old man smiled, got up, and rummaged around in the cave for a while, then returned with a rolled-up piece of animal skin. When I saw the animal skin the old man had opened, my pupils suddenly constricted, and a storm of emotions surged within me, for it was a map. The place marked with a figure was the tribe. This was the first time I had seen a map in a primitive society. The old man was saying something while I continued to draw on the wall. I didn't fully understand, but I could tell he was asking me to see if my tribe was on the map. However, the map had no reference points, and although it depicted people, I had no idea which tribe they belonged to, making it hard to discern the location. I pondered for a moment, gestured that I didn't understand, and then pleaded with him to let me stay. The old man seemed unsure if he could truly understand, first speaking to 2 strong men, then smiling and nodding at me. After that, I was taken to another small cave, where I was given some meat to eat. Thus, I temporarily stayed in this unfamiliar tribe. In the following days, I learned the language of this tribe, trying my best to communicate with them. This tribe was very friendly. They didn't hold it against me. A tribe skilled in migration, the Wenshin tribe. As long as you win one, you get a piece of meat. It could be said that the Wenshin tribe had suffered greatly after the flood. There were too few able-bodied men, and it would take several years before the children could become the main hunters. The situation was uneven. Although they were all still primitive people overall, the cultural differences were significant. Moreover, this world was vast. The Wenshin tribe had migrated for so long, passing through many places, yet they had never left the mountains and forests. Our ancestors told us that as long as we keep walking along this river, we will eventually not go hungry. The chief sighed, but we keep walking and still end up with many starving. I twitched at the corner of my mouth. Even if we reached the seaside, those who were meant to starve would still starve. The chief pointed to the map in front of him. This is the area our tribe has traveled through. We will remember it. Unable to contain my curiosity, I pointed at the people of various sizes on the map. Chief, why are the people drawn in different sizes? The chief smiled and explained, because some tribes have smaller people. I shuddered suddenly. Chief, are you saying that some tribes have people as big as me? Actually, if you have enough time, but your combat power hasn't diminished, and may even be stronger. If people become smaller, but their combat power continues to grow, what will that look like in the end? For a moment, my heart trembled. I had a strong premonition that the future of this world would be fascinating. I restrained my excitement and said solemnly, Chief, thank you. My time with you has allowed me to learn a lot. Are you going to find your tribe? I nodded. The chief sighed slightly. I thought you would stay with our tribe. You are a special person, intelligent, and will surely be very special in the future. But to repay the Wenshin tribe, I hesitated and said, Chief, let me leave in a few days. A few days? The chief looked slightly surprised. I explained, 1 day and 1 night is 1 day. The chief's eyes suddenly lit up, and he hurriedly got up to fetch a bone knife, carefully working on the animal skin. My heart warmed, and I imparted a lot of knowledge to them. 3 days later, I left the Wenshin tribe, following a tributary river upstream. On that day, I was roasting snake meat by the river. Just as I was eating, I suddenly felt the ground trembled. I was startled and quickly grabbed my weapon, looking around but seeing nothing approaching. So, I climbed up a large tree and saw a group of wild boars mixed in a fierce battle with a herd of wild horses, totaling about 100 or 200. The fight was intense, and I was mesmerized. The beasts attacked each other, and such a scene was truly rare. The wild boars, being quite fierce, soon gained the upper hand. After their victory, the boars began to roar excitedly, and then I only ran over once. The battlefield was devoid of life. So much meat. If there was a nearby tribe, they could feast until they were sick. Of course, what attracted me the most were the wild boar's tusks. They would make excellent weapons. I was busy using a bone knife to clean the tusks when suddenly, a sound of running came from afar, and the ground began to tremble again. I was so scared that I took off running. A herd of wild buffalo and a group of black sheep came rushing out from the opposite hillside, charging into the battlefield where the earlier fight had taken place, quickly forming their own skirmish. I hid in the tree, dumbfounded by the scene. What on earth was happening? These fierce beasts were taking turns battling each other. Why? When the fighting ended, a pair of big eyes blinked at me. I lowered my guard, thought for a moment, and tossed a piece of roasted meat over. The little puppy immediately ran out, devouring the meat without hesitation, then scampered back into the bushes. I didn't dare approach easily. What if the puppy's parents were nearby? That would be disastrous. Speaking of which, wasn't it said that dogs gradually evolved from domesticated wolf packs? How could there be a little puppy now? Before I could ponder further, the little puppy emerged from the bushes. It was cautious, carefully approaching me, clearly eyeing the roasted meat in my hand. I couldn't help but laugh. With so many carcasses around, it chose to focus on the cooked meat. I tossed a few more pieces over, and the little puppy was delighted, lying on the ground to eat, showing very little wariness. As the sky began to darken, I continued upstream along the river. I didn't dare spend the night here. There were too many corpses, and it was dangerous at night. To my surprise, the little black puppy followed me the whole way. It never barked, just happily bounced along behind me. I couldn't help but smile and said, "Little one, hurry back to find your parents, don't follow me." The little puppy clearly didn't understand, its big, dark, shiny eyes tilting its head adorably. I cautiously reached out to pet it, and the puppy didn't shy away, allowing me to stroke its fluffy fur, which felt really nice. I thought, such a cute little puppy, its parents couldn't be too big. Otherwise, we could take this little puppy away, and if we could find Naishi later, it would be a gift for her. A sudden idea struck me, and I quickly scooped up the little puppy and took off running, like a dog thief. After that, I lost track of how long I had been running. The little dog didn't bark or wag its tail, but it was quite perceptive when I spoke to it. It seemed to understand. Moreover, ever since the little puppy joined me, I realized I hadn't encountered any fierce beasts. Previously, I would occasionally come across them, but I had managed to avoid conflict. Since the little puppy came along, I hadn't seen a single fierce beast, though I had encountered plenty of small animals. Of course, this was a good thing for me. I didn't like running into fierce beasts. However, after walking for so long, I still hadn't found a tribe or seen anyone from the Coming Day tribe, which left me somewhat disappointed. It felt like it would be difficult to meet anyone from the Coming Day tribe again. I thought that if I still couldn't find them after a while, I would stop looking. I wanted to wander around and see this world, ideally sketching out a map of it first. As I walked and muttered to myself, the little dog, Night, had long since gotten used to my ramblings, lying on my shoulder and sleeping. Suddenly, Night stood up abruptly, its fur bristling. Sensing the change in the Night, I immediately stopped in alert, murmuring, "Night, what's wrong?" Of course, the Night couldn't speak. It just stared ahead, its fur standing on end. I was on high alert, my gaze fixed firmly ahead. Suddenly, a shadow flashed by, and a familiar figure appeared before me. Before I could see clearly, my face turned pale with fear, and I bolted. Just as I took a couple of steps, the ugly beast was already blocking my way again. It was over after running for so long. I was still caught by this ferocious creature. The beast stood still in front of me, its eyes radiating murderous intent, looking very fierce and terrifying. I nervously stepped back, my face twitching as I forced a laugh. "Big sister, long time no see." It didn't pay me any attention. The Night behind it slightly hunched over, its eyes sparkling with faint light. Suddenly, the beast lunged forward, and I shut my eyes in fright, feeling a chill in my heart. No need to say, I was definitely going to be caught and taken back. But then I felt a cold wind pass by and realized I hadn't left the ground while the beast had flown away. I was astonished, and at the same time, my heart settled. I never expected to escape this calamity. With a sense of having survived a disaster, I continued on my way. Not long after, I heard voices ahead, speaking the language of the Coming Day tribe. I was overjoyed and ran towards the sound. Soon, I saw several familiar figures surrounding a wild buffalo. They were indeed from the Coming Day tribe. However, there were very few of them, 4 men and 3 women struggling to deal with the massive buffalo. I rushed over with my weapon to help, throwing my spear with all my might at the towering buffalo. The spear pierced the buffalo's skin, driving deep into its heart. Before long, the buffalo was completely dead. Kashan exclaimed in surprise, "Brother Bai Tian, you really didn't die. Where have you been? We've searched everywhere for you." I smiled and replied, "I ran far away and couldn't come back. Why are there only a few of you? What about Kamu and the others?" Kashan sighed helplessly, "We've already left the tribe." I was shocked. "The tribe is gone?" Kashan shook his head. "The tribe is fine, but the chief, now he only thinks about fishing and doesn't care about our lives at all. Now the tribe is under Kamu's command, but those women are unhappy." And then they started arguing. So many people left. Listening to what Kashan said, I was dumbfounded. The chief was obsessed with fishing, the tribe no longer migrated, leading to a loss of morale, which then caused a split within the tribe? How did it sound so surreal? The chief I knew was not like this. Even if he was obsessed with fishing, he wouldn't neglect everything. I frowned tightly. "But you shouldn't leave the tribe once the tribe splits, it's a dead end." Kashan smiled bitterly. We know it's dangerous, but we can't just follow them and eat fish every day. I could tell that Kashan was hiding something. Come back with me, I'll persuade the chief, and we can continue migrating to a better place. Kashan immediately showed an awkward expression. No, brother by Tian, you should go back alone. Seeing Kashan being so evasive, I was even more convinced that he was hiding something from me. I quickly parted ways with Kashan and the others, continuing upstream along the river. The next day, I found the location Kashan mentioned. It turned out to be a sizable lake, and there was a flat area on the bend, clearly forming a small basin in the forest. It was in this basin that I saw a grass hut. Upon entering, the figures on the lake were quite eye-catching. It was indeed the chief fishing. Moreover, he had even managed to make a bamboo raft out of wood. My face twitched. He was truly the all-purpose fisherman. Chief. The chief, who was squatting and fishing, turned in surprise. Brother by Tian, you're not dead. Oh no. The chief capsized. I had intended to help, but to my surprise, the chief could swim. Soon, he climbed out of the water and back onto the wooden raft. Watching his skilled movements, it seemed this wasn't his first time falling in. Brother by Tian, you go back first. I'll catch a couple more fish and then return. I was left speechless. What a loss of ambition. The former clan leader was once a very imposing figure, and now he had truly become a fisherman. This made me deeply suspect that what Kashan said might indeed be true. The clan leader might really have stopped caring about everything. The people left in the tribe were shocked and happy to see me return. However, I didn't see Naishi. They probably went hunting or foraging. After walking around the tribe, my expression grew more serious. Judging by the grass huts and signs of life, there were likely no more than 100 people left in the tribe. You have to know, there were almost 200 people in the tribe before, and now more than half had left. This was too exaggerated. Great! A slap came down, nearly dislocating my shoulder. I hurriedly dodged back, feeling both amused and helpless. Naishi, your strength is getting greater. Naishi grinned, but her eyes were glistening with tears. I knew she was someone with a rich emotional world, so I smiled gently and said, I told you. I'm not that easy to kill. It's you all that I've been worried about. Naishi immediately puffed up her cheeks. Then why did you just run off and leave us behind? I didn't want to, but those red sheep kept chasing and attacking me, and then I fell off a cliff and lost my way. By the way, how did you all avoid the red sheep's attacks? Those red sheep are a bit scary, but they're not that strong. Kamu punched one and exploded its head, and then they ran away. Little dad, you don't know, we caught a lot of red sheep. They were delicious, but it's a pity you ran away. After that, we never encountered any more red sheep. I was instantly filled with questions. I had almost been killed by the red sheep, and they had easily scared them away? What the hell? Clearly, those red sheep were so fast and strong. Before I could think more, a figure came running over. Little dad. I turned my head and was stunned. It was Naide, but he hadn't grown at all. I looked at him in surprise and frowned. Naide, aren't they feeding you meat? Naishi immediately chimed in. Who isn't feeding him meat? He eats the most. But he just won't grow, just like you. Little dad, he's as thin as a stick. Naide immediately scratched his head in embarrassment. Naishi continued, but little dad, don't underestimate Naide. Although he's small, he's very strong, even stronger than Kamu. He's already the best in our tribe's hunting team. I was taken aback. Could my guess be right? The smaller the person, the stronger their combat power? Naide, do you usually feel unwell anywhere? I asked seriously. Naide shook his head. After some small talk, Naishi and the others went to divide the meat while I pulled Kamu outside the tribe. The two of us squatted by the lake, and I began to ask Kamu about the situation in the tribe. Kamu sighed, but the cost of this transformation is too great, leading to the entire tribe being fragmented. I said softly, so what are you planning to do next? Just as I dodged, the other party quickly fell into the water. Although it was a fleeting moment, I clearly saw it was a fish, and it was surrounded by sparks. Just as I was still in shock, that fish leaped out of the water again. I instinctively turned my head, and the fish brushed right past my face. I distinctly felt a rush of heat sweep across my cheek, leaving me momentarily numb. It was an electric eel. I was stunned. This was clearly a freshwater river. How could there be electric eels? And this electric eel could fly, moving so fast, and the current seemed very strong. This was life-threatening. Without thinking much, I hurriedly used the fishing rod to scoop up the female leader from the water. At that moment, the electric eel flew back from underwater. I swung the fishing rod to strike, but missed, and the electric eel dove back into the water. I felt a wave of numbness. I was so scared that I quickly pulled my hand back. The current from this electric eel was so strong that I feared the person in the water had already been electrocuted. I clenched my teeth and swung the fishing rod towards the water. As the splashes erupted, the electric eel indeed took the opportunity to appear and launched another attack at me. This time, I seized the moment and struck at the flying electric eel. The eel was hit and quickly fell back into the water. I hurriedly pulled the person back to the shore, but unfortunately, there was no breath and no heartbeat. To be precise, the heart had been pierced. This electric eel was a bit terrifying. It could actually penetrate such a thick person, leaving a small hole in the chest. Seeing his child's mother die, Camus was deeply saddened, and the tribe quickly fell into mourning. It's been so long, there must be plenty of prey by now. They won't starve. I told you the water is dangerous, but you didn't believe me. Try to go with them, if not, we will continue on. In any case, there is no fixed place. Yeah, isn't that bad? Yeah, how can we just keep walking? We will all grow old. What will we do when we can't walk anymore? The crowd began to stir again, mostly in discontent. Camus hesitated as well. Brother Bai, are you sure we can encounter other tribes? I went to a bigger river before. If the people are gone, no tribe matters. This surprised me quite a bit because he hit the nail on the head. People are the foundation of a tribe. After some discussion, Camus and the others ultimately decided to accept my suggestion. As for the direction, I had already thought it through. We would head east. Before that, I still wanted to figure out the electric eel in the lake. It was clearly a freshwater lake, yet it had such a lethal electric eel. It was simply unreasonable. To lure the electric eel out, I threw a live rabbit into the water and, holding a spear made from wild boar tusks, began to closely watch the water's surface. Suddenly, I saw the rabbit tremble a couple of times and then go still, while the small fish around the rabbit quickly swam away. The electric eel was coming. I immediately heightened my vigilance. The raft was like a balloon, speeding up more and more. I held onto the spear tightly, and after a while, the spear suddenly stopped moving. I cautiously lifted the spear, revealing a white electric eel. Although this electric eel was not large, why did it have such a powerful current and strength? I thought the electric eel was truly dead, so I reached out to touch it without any worries, and then a current surged through me. I shivered and was instantly electrocuted. Fortunately, I was on the raft, otherwise I would have undoubtedly died from the shock. I don't know how long I lay on the raft, but I heard Naish shout and slowly regained consciousness. I got up holding the fish. Seeing me with a small white fish, Nai and the others were quite puzzled. Little dad, how did you only catch this small fish? Don't underestimate this fish. It killed the tribe leader. Is that true? Nai looked at the electric eel in surprise. But it's really so small. It can discharge electricity, and its speed is incredibly fast. It can pierce through a person in an instant. It's so powerful. The meat must be a great supplement. Come on, let's go back and eat fish. Back by the tribe's fire, I gutted the electric eel and found a small pearl inside its belly. Could this be the legendary beast core? But I was hesitant to eat it. What if it wasn't a beast core and I ended up with diarrhea? A flash of inspiration struck me, and I handed the small pearl to Nei. If you eat this, you'll grow bigger. However, Nei wasn't foolish and immediately distanced herself from me. I won't eat it, little dad. You're trying to trick me. My cheek twitched. How did this child become so clever? Forget it, I might as well eat it myself. If it really is a beast core, who knows, I might gain extraordinary strength. I swallowed it in one bite, but after a while, I felt nothing. If it were a beast core, it should contain a lot of energy, and I couldn't help but feel a bit disappointed. I continued to roast the fish, but neither Nei nor Nei dared to eat it, so I ended up finishing it all by myself. I must say, this electric eel was really delicious when roasted. By midnight, I began to regret eating that electric eel, as I started to have diarrhea, and it continued until I even felt a surge of power. 3 days later, the tribe set off eastward. The group had no destination, which made their journey much easier. They hunted while walking at dawn and found places to rest at night. With my guidance in making bows and traps, life was quite comfortable. In the blink of an eye, more than 2 months had passed. On this day, sensing a heavy rain, I led the team into a cave. Outside, the rain poured down, but inside the cave, the group leisurely feasted on meat. Just as we were eating, a figure suddenly leaped from Naishi and quickly jumped into my arms, staring furiously at the cave entrance. I knew that the ugly beast had come again. I was instantly terrified and quickly stood up, saying, "You all wait here, they'll step outside for a moment." Naishi anxiously asked, "Little dad, where are you going?" I didn't respond, taking the figure with me, my expression serious as I hurried out of the cave. If the tribe was discovered by the beast because of me, there wouldn't be a single survivor. I ran into the woods with the figure but didn't see the ugly beast appear. I furrowed my brow and asked, "Where is it?" The figure bared its teeth and pointed to the left. I immediately ran over and soon heard the sounds of a struggle. As I got closer to the source of the noise, I saw a white tiger and a massive black python, surrounded by chaos. The white tiger was nearly 3 meters tall, and the python was over 20 meters long. They had stopped and were facing off. I didn't dare approach and climbed a tree to watch. Regardless, it was good news for me that it wasn't the ugly beast. Soon, the white tiger and the python clashed again. To my shock, I saw afterimages their speed was incredible, like something out of a fantasy epic. I could barely see their positions change, just two shadows, one black and one white, attacking each other in the woods. This scene made me gasp in awe, and I felt exhilarated. The future of this world was indeed about cultivating immortality. Just as I was lost in thought, a loud thud echoed, and the two figures flew backward, crashing into many trees before coming to a stop. Then the python lunged forward again, pouncing on the white tiger. The white tiger seemed to have taken a heavy hit and couldn't get back up. The python swiftly bit the white tiger and then coiled around it. The white tiger lost. However, I quickly realized I had underestimated the white tiger. Seeing this scene made my heart stop. How could this beast be so exaggerated? Before I could calm down, the python was drained of blood. At that moment, the beast turned its head to look at me, its sharp gaze seemingly carrying some kind of magic. Even from a distance, I felt like I was suffocating. Fortunately, the beast soon averted its gaze, leaped high, and flew away. I exhaled heavily, feeling as if I had survived a disaster. I sat in the tree for a long time before I slightly regained my composure. Why had this world become so terrifying since that beast appeared? Flying ugly hunting dogs, super strong freshwater electric eels, and the gigantic and fierce white tiger. In comparison, humans seemed so weak. Just that white tiger could easily wipe out a tribe. Once I regained my senses, I climbed down from the tree and cautiously approached the dead python. Snake scales and skin are valuable. They can be made into clothing and armor. Moreover, this python was so formidable that its bones might be very hard, suitable for making weapons. Thank you, ugly sister, for the gift. Just as I lifted the python, suddenly, I froze in fear. Moments later, two figures emerged from the grass in the heavy rain. Strangely, those two looked only slightly older than me. The next moment, I heard them shout at me, "Galajiwa Guli," and then they drew their bows, aiming at me. Although I couldn't understand, I knew they likely wanted me to put down the python. I pointed at the giant python, gesturing, "This is mine." But the next moment, two wooden arrows whizzed past me, and I narrowly dodged them, only to see two people rushing towards me. They moved as fast as lightning, instantly closing the distance. I dropped the python and quickly pulled out my bone dagger. The two of them also wielded bone daggers, attacking me from the left and right, forming a coordinated assault. Fortunately, I was no pushover. Ever since being trained by that ferocious beast, my combat skills had improved significantly. In an unknown fight, I was now stronger than Kumo. I skillfully battled the two, who were clearly less agile than I was, and they never managed to land a hit on me. Even so, I was quite surprised because their fighting style was completely different from Kumo's. It was nothing like the primitive techniques I was used to. Just then, I heard Naida's shout from a distance, "Little dad, I'm coming to help you." Hearing his voice, I couldn't help but laugh and cry at the same time. This foolish boy really chose the worst moment to show up when I wanted to continue testing these two. Naida charged over like a wild bull. The two in front of me were quite clever. Realizing they couldn't defeat me, they turned and fled upon seeing Naida. As Naida seemed eager to chase after them, I quickly said, "Naida, don't chase. Their tribe is nearby, and it's still pouring rain if you pursue." At that moment, Naida asked curiously, "Little dad, those two look about our size." "Yes, they look quite special. Let's head back for now and talk after the rain stops." I carried the giant python back to the cave with Naida. I instructed Naida and Naishi to carefully peel off the python's skin and scales while I went into the cave to tell Kumo and the others about the two people I had just encountered. Kumo listened with great surprise. "So, there might be a tribe nearby, and they look about your size? How strange. Why are they all so small?" "I don't know, maybe it's due to different ethnicities. They probably don't like us very much, so we need to be prepared. I estimate they'll come after the rain stops." Sure enough, after the rain ceased in the evening, a group of people appeared. It seemed this world had two types of people, one resembling Titan giants, tall and powerful, the other resembling normal humans. Aside from the height difference, there shouldn't be much else that set them apart. Before I could think further, the group had walked up and stopped in front of us. Leading them was a middle-aged man who stepped forward with an imposing expression and began to chatter away. I glanced at them, picked up a small stick, and cleared some leaves off the ground, revealing a patch of dirt where I started drawing stick figures. The others were shocked, and Kumo and the others were equally surprised, all craning their necks to watch. Once I finished, I pointed at the figures on the ground and explained one by one. I first encountered a snake, and after picking it up, your two appeared. They tried to steal my snake, but they were chased away by me and my helper. Although they couldn't understand, they pointed at the sky. Naishi immediately said, "He said that when the sun comes out, they'll fight us." The others nodded, appearing somewhat excited. My expression darkened. It seemed they were here to challenge us. The leader babbled something again, then looked around, walked to the side, picked up a stone, threw it on the ground, pointed at the stone, and then at the place where I had just drawn. Naizai's language skills were indeed impressive. She quickly understood. He means that when the sun comes out, they'll fight here, and they want to kill us all. Is that the correct translation? Before we could say much more, the group on the other side cheered and then turned to leave. I was a bit stunned. The locals were so polite. They even came a day in advance to arrange a fight. The next day, the weather cleared up. A group from the neighboring tribe was preparing to go hunting when suddenly, a commotion arose in the distance. Nida ran over to check and quickly returned, saying, "Little dad, they brought a lot of people." Soon, many figures appeared in the mountains and forests. It was the tribe from yesterday, with men, women, and even children, a grand total of over 100 people. He suddenly remembered that he was quite small himself, just accustomed to the tall and strong men and women in the tribe. Nida saw those women and thought they looked very petite, almost like children. Without further ado, a group of people had already approached. The leader from yesterday strode forward. Kumo and the others were quite nervous. After all, the other side had brought so many people, and if a fight broke out, the Riri tribe might not be able to hold their own. I, however, remained calm because I sensed that the other side did not harbor any intent to kill. Otherwise, they wouldn't have brought women and children alone. The opposing tribe leader came up and started chattering away. I couldn't understand, and neither could Naishi. Perhaps noticing our confusion, the leader turned and waved to the crowd, and then an old woman came over holding a piece of animal skin. A large piece of animal skin was unfurled, covered in blood with many little figures drawn on it, densely packed. I was taken aback by this scene. The learning ability of this tribe was truly impressive. Just yesterday they didn't know how to draw little figures, and today they had already figured out how to use animal skin and blood to create so many, and they looked particularly vivid and detailed. The tribe leader appeared quite proud, hands on hips, exuding a sense of arrogance. I leaned in for a closer look and quickly understood. This was a set of rules for fighting unknown, no weapons. But it was unclear whether it was to knock down or to kill. Regardless, it meant there would be a fight. Naishi frowned and asked, "Little dad, what does this say?" "I don't understand." I explained, "They say they want to fight us, sending out one person at a time. In the end, it seems they want our tribe to join theirs." Indeed, there were many figures drawn standing together, which I simply couldn't comprehend. Naishi was astonished. They look so small. If one person fights one person, then we might not. This was also my confusion. These people should be well aware of the disadvantages of their race. They were significantly shorter than Kumo and the others, and in an unknown fight, they would be at a disadvantage. No matter how confident they were, they couldn't be that foolish. Before I could think further, a strong man from their side stepped forward, and the crowd began to cheer. Kumo was about to step up. The person fighting Nida had already understood how to take a stance, resembling modern wrestling. I possessed the enviable gift of immortality, but what use was it? This was the late stage of a matriarchal primitive society. Was I to survive until modern society? But then I realized that merely surviving would lead to self-destruction. Because these primitives were not only intelligent but had also mastered systematic combat techniques. However, Nida did not understand this. He found it amusing to see the other side bending their waist. With a shout from the tribe leader, the strong man on the field began to attack Nida. He was fierce, lunging forward to grab Nida's shoulder, intending to throw him down. Nida initially lost his balance, but he was strong and quickly turned the tables, firmly holding onto the other man. Soon, both sides were locked in a stalemate. I stood by watching. The civilization of this tribe was quite advanced. They clearly had systematic training, shearing, and strategic positioning. Nida, being strong, soon gained the upper hand and began to pin the other man to the ground. Although the other man was also strong, he still fell short compared to Nida. The tribe leader's expression darkened, and he rushed over to grab Nida while shouting something. I then called out, "Nida, let go, you've won." Sure enough, after Nida released him, the tribe leader sulkily shouted a few words to the crowd. The crowd was filled with disappointment. Just as I was about to call Nida back, unexpectedly, the tribe leader shouted a few more times, and then another strong man stepped into the ring, taking a fighting stance against Nida. At this point, I was completely speechless. This was going to be a war of attrition. This tribe truly had a bit of conscience, but not much. I in the wheel battle. The coming day tribe only has this many people. How can they compete with them? They planned to exhaust the men of the coming day tribe. Nida still looked confused, so I shouted, "Nida, keep fighting. The more you take down, the stronger you are, and the others won't even need to come in." Kamu frowned. At this rate, Nida will be exhausted sooner or later. Of course, I knew that, but for now, I could only let Nida continue. Because Nida had won the first round, he had already intimidated the group across from us. If he could win again, their confidence would likely be shattered, as Nida was only as big as they were. But then I realized I had seriously underestimated Nida. This kid was like a wild bull, managing to take down 4 strong men from the other side in one go. After 4 rounds, he finally started to pant, but he still looked ready to fight. Not only was I shocked, but even Naishi and the others were astonished. Usually, Nida was indeed fierce when hunting, but who would have thought he could be this strong, far more exaggerated than Kamu and the others. The group across had stopped cheering and the expression on their chief's face was quite grim, while the row of men in front were gritting their teeth, wishing they could devour Nida. The fifth strong man came up and it was the same old routine: set up the formation and then attack. Nida struggled with the opponent for a long time but he still won. 1 against 5. Aside from being fierce, I really couldn't find another adjective. This kid was just too impressive. This also made me deeply suspect that Nida's strength was due to the frenzy he experienced last time, likely related to that ugly ferocious beast. Otherwise, there would be no way to explain why Nida hadn't grown up but had such immense power. Just as I saw they were about to send out the sixth person, I immediately stepped forward and supported Nida. We concede to the sixth, you win. As I spoke, I kept gesturing. The opposing chief clearly understood, but he showed no signs of happiness, only a face full of gloom. How could he be happy when one person had taken down 5 of his? Nida, in his naive way, murmured, "Little dad, I can still go." "It would be rude to keep fighting," I said sideways. "You're so fierce, are you going to let them live?" Nida didn't quite understand, but he knew he was indeed a bit too fierce. What I didn't expect was that the other side actually chose to concede. It made sense. Aside from a monster like Nida, the rest of them surely had no interest in fighting anymore. I thought they would start to disperse, but they didn't. Kamu was puzzled and whispered, "Why haven't they left yet?" I was at a loss for words, as if I knew the reason. I saw the opposing chief step forward again, accompanied by the old shaman who could draw. The old shaman squatted down, placing a piece of animal skin and a small rabbit on the ground, then used a bone. The coming day tribe only had this many people. Now, a big cross was drawn on the animal skin, and I flipped it over to redraw the little figures. Consciously, I guided the little figures as much as possible towards pictographs. Since the other side could create written language, my request was simple: the two tribes would not infringe upon each other and there was no need for them to pay tribute. Of course, interactions between tribes were allowed, but killing was not permitted. Once I finished drawing, the old shaman frowned and muttered. Then the opposing chief turned to discuss with a few people, and afterward, he nodded. I smiled and extended my right hand to the leader. The leader, confused, also extended his hand. I grasped his hand and gently shook it. This handshake ritual should be able to continue. Seeing me shake my arm, the leader followed suit and then smiled. The old shaman. I smiled and said, "From now on, we should communicate more with this tribe. It will benefit our tribe. This tribe is really interesting. They have already formed a systematic training, and I wonder how many more surprises they have."